Hello and welcome. We are back once again for another JoypadAndMe podcast. Welcome to episode 82, a look back at 2015. Hello, my name is Graham, otherwise known as Jedi Junkie, and as always, I am joined by Connor, aka John.
Alright.
And Gaz, aka Daft Junk.
Hey.
Hello, how is everyone?
Good.
Full of man flu.
Lovely.
Yeah.
The illness that doesn't exist, apparently.
Yeah, well, as you can probably tell from my voice, I could be working on specialist telephone lines at the moment with how husky it is. And I've got a bit of a cough and a ridiculous amount of mucus in production. So at some points my audio may drop out because I will be coughing my guts up.
Lovely.
Don't worry, the magic of editing will save your face.
Yay! And also people, as far as I'm aware, can't catch a cold off a podcast. So hopefully everyone should be okay. And if you do end up with man flu, it's not my fault. I accept no responsibility.
Fair enough. Right, as we've said, this is a look back at some of the games we've played over 2015. This isn't the best of or the worst of, because to be fair, we were going to do that, as we have done the past few years, but technical difficulties, as we've explained in the past couple of podcasts, screwed all that up. So we're just going to have a little three-way chat about what kind of games we were playing, what we liked, some abject failures, and probably pick what we each liked, one maybe two games we recommend. Any standout for you guys who want to jump in?
I want to mention, well, for the fact for me, I was on a year of shame, so I didn't buy any games. Well, kind of, for the whole of the year up until September. So I missed out on a lot of stuff other than things I got as review copies or on PlayStation Plus. But I did get Ollie Ollie 2, and given it won a BAFTA, the first one won a BAFTA last year, which I hotly tipped it was going to. I'm pleased to say that Ollie Ollie 2 was everything and more. Fantastic game. I know, Gareth, you got into it further than I did and got far better at it than I did. I destroyed a DualShock 4's thumbstick by playing so much of it, and then reverted back to the Vita, which has a far more rugged plastic on the thumb, so it didn't wear out as quick. But I know you played a hell of a lot, Gareth. What did you think to it?
That was my commute game for like 3 months. I don't even want to think how many hours I plugged into it. Yeah, I think I was 3 levels away from completing Brad mode, which is like the last bit. But I loved it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It's a lot better than the first one, which I got into, but not as much. Like, I played around with it and I thought it was alright, but I just got absolutely hooked on it. It's for me, it gave me that same feeling as playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 back on the PS1. Yeah. Just stringing those massive combos together, trying to find all the secrets in each route and all the different places you can take it. I loved it, and adding the reverts in so you could literally combo the entire level, I just thought was a genius move.
It just reminded me, the first one reminded me a lot of SSX Tricky, and I said that in my review when I originally wrote about it. The second one made me think more of like SSX 3. As you said, with adding like the reverts in, it gave you the ability to just basically try and do the whole course in one massive combo. Because that was always the problem in the first one. There was something that would muck up your ability to get that really nice long string, and then just sticking the reverts and the manuals in really helped to kind of keep it going, but also increase the difficulty because you really lost speed trying to manual a certain section. And
yeah, if you didn't hit that perfect, it was game over.
Exactly. You had to know exactly where you were gonna drop stuff, and it plays almost like a rhythm action game because you have to kind of hit things at specific beats to kind of get that flow, and it looks fabulous. Yes, it's a pixel art game. Yes, the certain listeners are going to be going, "Oh God, no, rubbish indie game that's just all pixel blocky." But it's such a fantastically playable game, and no, it's not for everybody. But if you're a bit of a masochist and you do like punishing yourself repeatedly, go for it because it's fantastic.
So
as you said, getting those routes and finding the way through was just so much fun.
So the funny bit there is, as Gareth says, I love Tony Hawk's. I was literally playing Tony Hawk's 2 only last weekend, but I couldn't get into Ollie Ollie 1 or 2. I gave them a go, and it didn't seem to strike a chord with me as much. It's not because it's indie. I love indie games. I like the art style of it. I like the genre it's gone for, but it didn't work for me.
It requires a real level of patience with it to kind of... When it clicks, it doesn't click straight away. It reminds me a bit of skating, that idea of... It was nice, but until you kind of got the rhythm of it wasn't amazing. Yeah. And this is very much like that. It's a bit marmitey because it can put people off on the first play. You have to... Obviously, Gareth is probably going to talk about Bloodborne later, but it's that idea of you will fail a lot, and you kind of just have to go, yeah, I'm going to fail. And then when you actually succeed, it's so satisfying. It's proper punching the air. I've done that.
Yeah.
Real satisfying moments. And the fact that the PS4's got the ability to capture your footage, when you do that perfect run, you just tap your share button and you've captured that little video, because you're probably never going to do it again. But there is always that, actually, I can probably score a bit bigger on that. I can probably do that a bit differently.
But it's what I like is the fact... This is what sounds daft. I like the fact that I didn't like the game, yet it's a really good game. Because obviously it's meant for other people than my interests. Because you get so many games nowadays where it's either universal like or dislike. It's either really shit because of bugs or whatever, or everyone likes it. This is nice to see an indie game that's gone a bit niche, but has been widely respected throughout the community. Well,
I think this is probably a good little segue into a game that Gareth said that he's played and was absolutely dreadful this year on a similar
There's been a few
board game theme. Gareth, how's Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5?
Well, from the few hours that I've played it, it's absolutely terrible. It's the worst thing. I purposely played it. Like, basically, I picked it up second hand because it was going for 15 quid, and I thought, I've got to see how bad this game is, because everyone's been slating it, and people are saying, oh, but they patched it now and it's not too bad. So I thought, right, I'll take my PS4 offline. I want to play it how this game shipped, and it is awful. It is awful.
The game that shipped that's a third of the size of the game before the patch. Jeez.
Honestly, it is terrible. The physics are so janky. It just does not work. And after playing stuff like Ollie Ollie, even the last skateboarding game I played, like the skate games on PS3, like I played Skate 2 and Skate 3, which are they're not arcadey at all. They're more realistic. But as frustrating as those games are, they work. Whereas this game just doesn't work. It is absolute shit. And I can't believe it got a release. In my head, Activision must have just said to the studio, "Get that game out. It's got to hit this date. Get it out. We've come on stage and promised it." But we didn't see anything. All we saw was that logo until it pretty much came out, and it was terrible. And the fact that the day one patch was 2 gigs bigger than what was on the disc.
Yeah.
And the last patch was another 7 gigs added on top of that. Yeah. Wow. Just goes to show. I haven't played it with the patches yet.
I was going to say, have you tried it with the patches to see if it kind of recreates the initial buzz of the original 2 Tony Hawk?
No, not yet. And I'm sure on a podcast in the very near future I'll be talking about it, playing it with the patches on. But yeah, no, I wanted to have a couple of hours with it the other day when I got it just to see, and it is a shocking game.
That's the thing about games that kind of get remade. Obviously, we've had SSX as one of the PlayStation Plus games this year, and I bought that when that came out and was disappointed in it. Yeah, it looked nice, but it seemed to have lost the soul of the original games. And it sounds like that's kind of what's happened with Tony Hawk is, let's revitalise this franchise by doing it exactly the same as we did, and it's lost its soul.
I think the fact that music's also really shit compared to what it was in the 90s, like in the sort of punky alternative scene.
Yeah.
It's just everything about it. It's like drinking a pint of off milk. It's horrible.
Oh,
wow. There's a box quote for you.
Jeez. Really put me off playing it.
Yeah. So well, maybe it'll get better when I play it with the patches, but no, not for me.
Well, I must admit, if you're talking about disappointing games, for me it has to be Need for Speed. I was so looking forward to Need for Speed. I'm a car racing fan. I love the Need for Speed series, the franchise, but this one felt bad. It's not because it had the FMVs. I don't mind them. Quite, it's part and parcel of what some of the games were like. But there didn't feel enough in the game. Now, maybe I had the bugs because we said during the Extra Life podcast that I spent hours and hours playing it and couldn't get a couple to chase me for love and money. Yet in Rivals, I blink and start the engine and they start chasing me. So that bugged me, and the incessant amount of times that bloody phone goes off in your ear for no damn reason at all. And you drive along and you get 4 or 5 phone calls. Come meet us there. Come meet us there. No, I just want to drive around. You could have sent, instead of making phone calls, leave a text message. Let me go in and open my phone when I want to and carry on the story. I went through most of that game without knowing or caring what was going on. I drove that game like I've been driving Drive Club the past couple of days, where I've done 120 races without actually doing anything. And that's what Need for Speed felt like. The modifying the cars. Yeah, you can change the stance and the camber of the wheels and make the braking bias. Yeah, but that's not unique to Need for Speed. I mean, you've got many other driving games do the similar. For me, Need for Speed at its heyday was like the Underground series and Most Wanted, where you could change body kits, you could put engine upgrades in, you could do all sorts. This, it had body mods. Well, it had a couple. And the ones they had didn't look good at all. I mean, the 1967 Ford Mustang Fastback they got on the GT500, whichever one. Yeah, the standard version looks good, but the only upgrades they've really put into it were to make it like the Hooligan one. And I don't like that. That's not the way I'd want my car to look. But that's the only options of doing it up, really. So it lost its upgrade thing for me. It lost its need to get back onto the roads and get chased and cause chaos with the cops. The racing, the AI was pretty easy, to be fair. They weren't overly hard to get past. Online was good. I mean, it's constantly online, so every now and again someone will come past you, flash the lights, and you're racing. That's not bad. But then that's been done in many other games before. It should be fucking rock solid. I had my worries when the closed beta came out. Unfortunately, it was founded, those worries, and I kind of regret paying full price and pre-ordering it, and now seeing it going for half the price, and people aren't even picking it up then. So I do feel sorry for that game. It's kind of soured the milk. With the podcast title here, for other Need for Speed games, because this one's really lacked. That kind of really annoyed me. That's probably one of the games I was really looking forward to all year.
Is it quite popular then at the minute?
It's doing okay, I think, but having a price drop that quick to that low.
Yeah, it was one of the 12 deals of Christmas. It was like 25 quid on the store straight away, and it had been out less than a month, hadn't it? Less
than a month. So it came out late November, and by mid-December it was down to half price. And the fact that this is run by EA. EA love making money. They love season passes and throwing all they can. This hasn't got a season pass. It's made by the developers, the publishers that love season passes, love making double the money, and they haven't bothered with this. And it's a fucking car game. They could have made so much if the game had been worth it. But someone there obviously must have seen it and gone, there's no fucking point here.
So what's the DLCs looking like now? Because there is a gold. There's a gold version on the store. It's only a $5 or more, and it says it includes all future DLC. So is there going to be like a few cars and stuff? If
you can find DLC on there, I haven't found any.
But they are selling a version that's slightly more expensive.
That, from what I gather, that one has the BMW M3 from or the skin for the BMW M3 from Most Wanted.
Maybe that's it.
Which is, yeah, great, okay. Lovely. So, I'm really upset, just kind of pissed off that a game I was really looking forward to has been that bad. It fell so flat for me.
What about Project Cars? Did you pick that up?
No, I didn't, and I keep meaning to.
See, I picked it up in the sale, and I played very little of it. It's not my cup of tea. It's a bit too simmy for me. I'm not a huge fan of Sims.
I don't mind that though. So,
Drive Club's been my driving game of the year. I think with all the season pass stuff that's come out, I've really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I only paid £20 for the whole bundle.
I hate to agree with you, but yeah.
I was trying to egg it out of you.
As I said, I will stand by every damn thing I said about that at the start and for the year and a half afterwards. But at the price it is now and what the season pass gives you, it's fun. I still, to this day, say it doesn't know what it wants to be. It's not arcade, it's not sim, it's a bit of both in different places. The photo mode, the online, the way you can get people to beat your scores and challenge people, it's all fluid. What works, what's there works really well. The addition of the bikes at the end of this 2015 was a good addition, standalone wise, or add to it. It does make Drive Club a strong game in 2015 going onwards.
That leads in quite nicely into something I want to kind of comment for this year, because this year I didn't really buy anything. I've majorly noticed how quickly games drop in price, and it's really odd. It's the first time I've properly noticed the race to the bottom, and I can see why games come out at such a high price, because people will buy them at that price, and they have to cover the cost of dropping it so quickly. It's over the last couple of years we've seen it. Games that come out October, November, quite often by December or January, are 2/3 to half the release price. That's crazy. So for me, it's made me realise that, like what you said about Drive Club, is that you could basically pick the game up now with all the DLC for the price you would have paid for just the game at launch. So, well, what's the point in buying it at launch?
It's to be part of the hype and be the first in there.
But maybe I'm just getting too old for that. Maybe I'm just
Yeah.
not interested. There was certainly a lot of games that made me wobble. Obviously, the one game that made me fall off my year of shame I'll talk about in a minute. But it did make me realise that actually, just hold off. PlayStation Plus this year, people have been very, very critical of, and it's all indie games. But
What's wrong with that?
my favourite game of the year is PlayStation Plus's game for February, and that's Nom Nom Galaxy. Indie game. I don't like Minecrafty type stuff. I've seen my nephews play Terraria and been a bit like, I'm not really interested in this. But Nom Nom Galaxy, when I saw that teased about a year and a half ago, I thought, yeah, this is a pixel junk game. I like their stuff. I might be into this. And then when I found out, it's crafting, it's world building, I was a bit like, I don't know. And got a copy of it, and I loved it. That's probably one of those games that got me through my year of shame. I was lucky enough for Double 11 to send me a review code, and I loved it. I loved pretty much every minute of it. I didn't love the stupid challenge trophies, they wound me up, but the fact of just sitting there and digging through rock and finding weird little creatures to turn into soup, and then creating these massive automated soup monsters that sent rockets off full of soup, and just sitting back and watching this automated factory that you've created from basically nothing do the job for you was just fantastic. Absolutely lovely game. There's so much depth in it, and I'm curious as to see whether my opinion from how much I enjoyed it last year to what people who haven't played it think when it starts to come to PlayStation Plus. I'm curious if I'm in the right with it and actually it's an overlooked gem, or whether people will just write it off as, it's another indie game on Plus. I kind of hope they don't, because it was and it is a fantastic game.
I mean, I disagree with all these people saying there's more and more indie games. That's good, I think, because it shows a wide variety of choices. There's so many AAA games out there that are vying for your 50 quid a pop and your extra £30-40 season passes. It's nice to see the smaller developers go in different angles of what a game can be. I mean, we've seen so much variety. Why would people want to complain about it? If you don't like it, don't download it. I mean, you've got, for the PS4 nowadays, you've got to have PS Plus to be online. So people that want the AAA games that are always online have to pay it anyway. So the PS Plus games are an added bonus. So if you don't like them, don't fucking download them. Exactly. If you do like them, they're there for you. There's the options and
if you don't know if you're going to like them, just bloody download them. Just stick them in your car. The amount of people I've spoken to that have gone, I wasn't sure what I'd think to it, so I didn't bother and I missed out. Well, you're an idiot. Just stick it in your car. At least it's in your library then. So even if you do lapse your subscription, when you come back to it, you've still got that game there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, indie games have probably kept my attention more. This year more than any other, I've lost interest in games quicker than previously. Something else has caught my attention off the bigger titles. Yet there's still some I play to this day that are great, and they're indie titles. The big AAAs have sort of fallen by the wayside in some ways. Since day one, or since getting the PS4, I've still kept my 500 gig hard drive in, which I seriously need to update. So I've dumped games off left, right, and centre to make space. But games that have stayed on there since day one have been the likes of Binding of Isaac. Rocket League hasn't left since day one. Pure Pull is another one that stayed there, and from day one was Don't Starve. That's still there. All the likes of Assassin's Creeds and Transformers Devastation and all the things like that, they've all come and gone. I'll put them back on as when I feel like playing it. But those indie ones, and Resogun, there you go, another day one. That hasn't left me hard drive since first day, because they're good games. I mean, Resogun was free to play, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah, well, it was PlayStation Plus launch title, wasn't it? So
yeah. So a PlayStation Plus title has stayed on my console since day one, for 2 years plus, and I still play it from time to time. It's a damn good game. Anyone that complains, oh, it's an indie, well, fuck you, because it's that damn good. It stays. I'll put more hours into that than some of the bigger AAAs.
You make a good point about AAAs. The game that made me fill my year of shame was Metal Gear Solid 5. I bought it launch.
Knew that would happen.
Yeah, 10 days away from finishing my year without buying a game, and I go and buy Metal Gear 5.
350 plus days of you saving yourself, and look what happens. A pretty young game comes past you and you just
for a little plastic handy. Which
plastic hand shandy.
That's it. Which that game did disappoint me. As much as I've put 120 odd hours, 150 odd hours, I don't even know, into it, the story wasn't as good as previous Metal Gear games. Maybe my expectations were just too damn high, or maybe it was the way that it delivered the story. It was a beautiful open world game, but it became so easy to just do the same thing for each mission.
I think everyone was expecting more than even Kojima could put into that. Purely, I mean, for the fact is, the Metal Gears, I mean, I haven't played much Metal Gear, but from what I've seen, cutscenes, big, deep, twisty storylines are the order of the day. And this has been an open world game. It's hard to sort of set out a nice cinematic cutscene for 40 minutes on a place where you don't know what's going to be there.
I think the longest cutscene's about 10 minutes long, and it's really odd. It just didn't meet my expectations of, I'm going to be able to sit with some popcorn and enjoy some of this story, because you get 2 mouthfuls of popcorn and then oh god, I've got the controller back, right, okay, I better go off and do this next mission. And the freedom it gives you is fantastic, and it looks amazing. It it just under-delivered in the story side to it. And the fact is, it's a big block of story. It's the end of Peace Walker up to Shadow Moses. That's a big time period that had some serious story in there that could have been filled. And it does deliver a certain amount of that story, but it does it in such a drip-fed, long gaps between that you kind of go, oh. And the game's lovely. Don't get me wrong, it is a fantastic game.
Looks amazing.
It does look beautiful. The variety, the fact of having a buddy, it misses a co-op. It's one of those games that it really, if it wanted to be Peace Walker, it should have had that option to have the co-op in it. Yes.
Do you think they sacrificed co-op so they could do?
Well, the online was always going to be there.
Metal Gear Online needs a shout out because that game, I didn't play it for long, maybe 15, 20 hours, most of it with you, Connor. But Metal Gear Online was brilliant. It still is brilliant.
That's my second favourite online game this year. As much as the story did disappoint me, they did the right thing with Metal Gear Online. They didn't launch it at the same time as the game came out, because that game
held it back for 6 weeks, and that done it perfect.
Exactly. It was such a good move because it gave people time to absorb in the story, and then, okay, I'm done with the story, I want to do something else. And it came at just the right point for me. It's like, excellent, I'm ready for Metal Gear Online. And yeah, you're completely right, Gareth. It was fantastic. It does deserve an honourable mention for the fact that it was so much fun. I haven't been back to it since it's been patched, but I know the amount of fun, as we've talked about previously, of setting traps for each other and capturing and filtering each other away and working as a team to try and capture points and stuff. It was a lot of fun. It didn't have enough content until we realised you could change night cycles and size of maps.
Yeah.
It was a bit odd. It was a bit kind of, oh, there's only 3 maps, and then you realise actually there's some more options to this. It did feel a bit shallow and a bit like a beta, but when you started to realise actually there's more to this, fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and a real bonus. I'm not going to mention the FOB stuff because I didn't really play it, but that's like a third part to the game that's basically there to generate microtransactions for Konami. So the least we say about that, the better. But yeah, I think that as AAA's go, it was one of those games that disappointed me a bit.
I still didn't finish it. So I think just the fact that there was very minimal story after 30 odd missions just lost my interest.
It just doesn't hook you in the same way a good Metal Gear game does. I think that's the problem, is the previous games where you were playing to find out the next part of the story, whereas this kind of goes, we're not going to tell you when the story's going to appear, you kind of have to hit set conditions, and then suddenly you get a cutscene and you're like, okay, what's caused that then? And it does kind of, you do start to piece bits together. It's pretty, it sounds lovely, the fact of having all the 80s soundtrack and stuff is really nice, and very kind of hipstery retro cassette tape stuff. It just did fall a little bit flat for me.
Well, talking of falling flat for a lot of people, probably the biggest game we were all expecting this year was Star Wars Battlefront.
Wow! Wow!
Well, it can't. I'm sort of in two minds, which I imagine many people are, because on the one hand, as a game, I mean, you were saying yourself, guys, that it does feel a little bit empty. It's not what you were hoping for. But
it's definitely a glass half empty game for me.
But then on the other side is the look of it is great, the sound effects are great, and it's Star Wars. Now, everyone knows I'm a Star Wars fan, so I hate to sound sort of apologetic for it or defensive.
Prepare the apologies.
Because it's Star Wars, it's going to be good. Because I can't rate it as a perfect game, purely for the fact, I mean, if it was a perfect game, I'd be playing it a lot more, and I haven't touched it since before Christmas.
For me, it simply wasn't the game I was looking for.
I need to get back onto it, but yeah, I can sort of see, and something that will always knock points off for me is the fact that they're demanding 40 quid for a season pass.
Yeah.
Which by the end of the season pass will be the game that everyone thought it was going to be.
And that might be the point where I pick it up for potentially like 40 quid with the game and the season pass included.
Which is what I did with Battlefield 4. I picked it up for 15 quid with the premium, with everything unlocked, and it's a great game. But I'd have been fucked off if I'd have paid 60 quid for it, or whatever it was when it first came out.
I don't think people that are big fans of Battlefield and the season pass, I don't think they do feel hacked off if they buy it early, because
it keeps giving them extra
the
content as they play through.
But they're also the people that will just play nothing but Battlefield for the whole year.
Yeah, I'm wondering if because Battlefield is so well put together, and people work as squads and use tactics and play it like a military sim almost. Battlefront seems to be a bunch of Star Wars fans diving about, waving lightsabers and blasters around. It doesn't feel as cohesive as a game, but people enjoy it because it's Star Wars, yet take the Star Wars out of it, the game, and the game is very lackluster.
It's in my opinion, it's a poor Battlefield game with a Star Wars skin over it. It's not a Battlefront game. Battlefront 2 was one of my favourite games back in the day, and this isn't a Battlefront game. It's Battlefield with a Star Wars skin, and yeah, it works and keeps you amused for the first 10 hours. But while it looks pretty and the sound's amazing, and the licensing Star Wars, it's always going to be a big draw. It's just not a very good game, and I haven't gone back to it since the patch has come out recently. But it's so poorly balanced as well.
Yeah, I spent probably more time than playing the rest of the game. I played the Fighter Squadron and loved all that, which that shouldn't be a main draw of the game. I would have thought I should be playing far more of the actual shooter side of it, and I haven't.
And the Fighter Squadron's good, but I can go and whack Rebel Strike in the GameCube and play that, and it's a much better flight sim than that one is. Yeah,
I had so much hope for it because it was Star Wars. It was a new Star Wars game on the PS4. I threw my money at it. As soon as you could pre-order it, I did so without any question. So it kind of feels like maybe I've been burnt slightly on it for that reason. But I don't feel upset to the level I do with Need for Speed. I think it's a Star Wars game. I'll get back and play it every now and again. But it's not as strong a game as I thought it might be. And I've always had a problem with games doing season passes. It takes a lot for me to put any money down on a season pass. 40 quid. I question at 20 quid, so double that. And again, the likes of things like Destiny with the 40 quid Taken King. It puts me off throwing that kind of money down. And looking at the way Destiny is, where if you don't pick up Taken King, you're kind of left way behind. Is that going to feel the same with Battlefront?
I think it is, and that's a good segue, because I think Battlefront will be the game it was meant to be in a year's time when all the DLC's out, which is how the Taken King, which I got earlier in the year, feels to me. Like that is Destiny. That's what Destiny should have been when it came out.
But aren't you basically paying 40 quid for a beta?
Yeah, it does seem...
I wouldn't say it's 40 quid for a beta. I'd say you're paying 40 quid for a game that should probably be free to play.
I'd be harsh,
and then you have
I'd
to
say,
buy
aren't you
the
paying
rest of the
40
other
quid
ones.
for an alpha? Barely playable code that has the ideas there, but it isn't going to be the finished game for a long period of time.
It's not barely playable code. It's a game, and it's a solid game. There's fuck all content there.
It's my issue with Destiny. I haven't been back to it since the season pass for year 2 came out, because it just disappointed me, and it was my big, this is how I'm going to start my year of shame game, was Destiny, and I played a fair bit of it, but it just was too grindy. And obviously they did a major rewrite with season 2 and got Null and North in to do the voice acting and things, and I kind of want to go back to it, but when you can pay 25 quid or what was it, 40 quid when they released the Game of the Year edition, the Legendary edition with all the DLC, and it's like, well, I feel really bad that I spent £80-90 for the collector's edition the year before, and I don't feel I got my money's worth out of it.
You can get the whole game, everything in, for less than a score at the minute.
It's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre.
I'm a little bit like Gaz was talking about the early game. Was although I paid full price for Destiny and Expansion 1, I don't feel ripped off for that. I mean, right, the expansions, they weren't huge, and that was a question on its own. But I got my money's worth out of that game, no problem.
I definitely did as well.
Death on my own and with friends. But £40 for a single expansion, and even when in the Christmas sales it was down to 20, it was a case of, well, so many other games have come out since then that are taking me away. If I pay £20 for this, am I going to get £20 worth of game out of it? Because I don't go back to Destiny like I'd used to, and this will keep me going for all of a couple of months. It'll do the same thing again.
This is my kind of issue with it, is that I
so I wouldn't even pick it up.
There wasn't enough content there. It was just rinse and repeat, and I don't want to play a game that's basically got the instructions off the side of a bottle of shampoo. It didn't interest me enough. The fact that the story is delivered on an app that's based on collectible cards that you pick up during the game is bobbins. I'm sorry, I don't pay that amount of money for a game to not have story. I'm not used to the MMO style. I've never been interested in World of Warcraft or the whole idea of doing raids and grouping up together and playing it. When I've tried to play it with you guys, I've just felt majorly out of my depth, but I don't feel I've had the motivation to run around collecting the same items again and again and again, to tick off.
That was quite funny though.
Doing those challenges.
You're like 4 or 5
yeah, that's
it.
It's like
you're just hiding in the background.
That's exactly it. It's literally, I am having my ass carried through this game. That's not a pleasant experience. But it didn't motivate me to get up to that level, to be at the same level either, because it didn't have a story that made me go, actually, I do want to find out more about this. I do want to know more about this world. It just felt a bit sterile, and it definitely didn't.
I think the Grimoire cards were a waste of time. Yeah. They ruined that. That you could have done, even if you were still going to do it all text based. Put it in the game so I can read it on the telly. Or even better, spend a few quid. Have little... They don't even have to be cutscenes, just little crappy FMV videos that explain how these factions have come about and what they're fighting for.
Sat on that bloody... I can't remember what the place is called where you go back to.
The tower.
You've got enough actors there that you could have given them the lines from the cards, and you've collected a certain amount of cards, and you talk to a certain person, and he tells you about the information off that card. Why are you shelving all
I can't
that
fucking stand them. Put some audio logs in there. I fucking hate audio logs, but put them in there. It's better than me fucking have to go on my laptop and read a card.
I don't mind audio logs. I'd have listened to that. It just, for me, I think with Destiny it was a good game to socially grind. That sounds so bad, but you go on a couple of raids and you earn the bits and pieces while you're chatting to a couple of mates. I mean, Gaz and me spent fucking hours and hours just going through the same shite while just chatting bollocks, because it was the game to play. You didn't have to have the volume on that loud or listen in depthly, because something walks up, shoot it. It was a bit of a no-brainer at the time.
It's the Michael Bay of video games.
Almost a par.
My other problem with that game is the fact that the best content in that game is the raids, and it's locked behind the end game. You've got to be leveled up, and it's a shame. They tried to change it a bit with the Taken King, which is quite cool. They set some of the missions in the previous raids in the Vault of Glass and Crota's End, which was quite cool, because for people who never did the raids, you could go in and have a little look around and be like, whoa, I've never seen any of this sort of location before. That's pretty cool. But it was way too late in the game. Like, there should have at least been maybe a couple of solo missions where you could go into the Vault of Glass. Maybe not all the way in, but part of the way in, so you could see what it was about. And I just think I think what ruined that game is it was so bloody grindy when it first came out. it put most people off that bought it. Whereas now, like with the Taken King, I pissed it to level 40 in like 3 hours, and I already had decent gear that I could. Like you could be raid ready in 10 hours, which was great. Whereas playing the original Destiny, I plugged like 60 hours in, and I still wasn't good enough to do the first raid.
We've gone down the route now. You don't have to put the 10 hours in to be raid ready. You can just pay the extra money of 20 some odd quid, and there you go. You've got your character leveled up.
No, but you can't, because all that does is get you to level 25, which has you ready for the Taken King content. It doesn't do anything else. You can't
level 25. That's not even. You could do that in a couple of minutes. It feels like.
The fact they got rid of those stupid light levels, so you can actually level up to the level that you need to be.
It was all the kind of problems with the collecting of the engrams and things like that, and the fact of, I've got the same boots again, but they've got a little letter after them, which means they're 1 point stronger if I upgrade them.
Or the fact that you get an exotic engram and you trade it in and it gives you a bloody blue item 2 levels lower than the one you got. That's the sort of shit.
That's my problem. Is that didn't make me want to play the Taken King stuff. It certainly didn't make me want to spend 40 quid on it. So yeah, maybe I'm being unfair and I haven't played it, so I shouldn't comment. But
the funny bit is, you say about the engrams and all that, and how bad that system was. It was almost funny to be part of that, though. I mean, look at when the loot cave happened. We all fucking went in and dicked about. We got fuck all out of it, but you went and did it because it was part of gaming culture at the time. It was the thing to be doing, the thing to be seen doing.
I love being a part of it. I'd never change that. I really enjoyed myself with Destiny. I mean, I've spent 105 quid on that game, but I've got over 300 hours out for it. So for me, I've had value for money, and I don't regret any of my time with it. I had a great time playing it.
Now the shine has come off it, because it's not a new game anymore. That you can pump as much DLC and stuff onto it as you want. You're going to get back that level that it once was, and this amount of money you need to keep up with it now. I mean, I'd almost prefer, and I wouldn't have said this to start off with, but if this is the way they're going to go, I'd
monthly subscription,
£5 a month, and keep up. That way I could stop it. Like now, I don't play at the moment. I could not pay the subscription, or pay him £5 to keep my save there until I want to come back and start up again or something. I don't know, but I think this jumping and being left behind if you don't keep up now has killed off my deep fascination with the game.
Excuse me. Did you try the sparrow racing? Because that really interested me, because those sparrows were fantastic, and I thought, that's a really, really good opportunity. When they gave away because I got one of the limited editions because of having the collector's edition. I think I got it as part of the first wave of DLC.
So you got the little turbocharged, slightly faster one,
and it's like, oh wow, that's actually quite cool. Wish we could race these. And then they do the racing, but it's later on. But it's like the spaceships as well. It's like, they're really fantastic. Can I fly them? No, they're just there as a cutscene. No. What? It's things like that for me would have pulled me into the game, but they just kind of went, oh no, they're just there for cutscenes. Well, what's the frigging point?
Well, how much time did we spend talking about what we thought was coming about, but nothing appeared? I mean, the Sparrow Racing's turned up for a little bit. I mean, it caught me at the wrong time. I didn't get a chance to actually see it.
And that's the problem, is the way that they deliver stuff is, I like the idea, you're not going to get bored. We're going to give you a little season of Iron Banner, a little season of Sparrow Racing. But you kind of need to have that stuff there more regularly or for longer periods.
It was too few and far between all the time.
But I think, as you said before, I think we're looking at this in the wrong way, because we're used to, as console players, we're used to, for the most part, you get the game, it's all there. The season pass things has changed that slightly nowadays, but this game is an MMO for all intents and purposes, so we're not used to that style of game on the console.
But it's not converted me to it either.
No, it hasn't, and it's the way it's been done has put me off it in some ways, and I'm concerned that maybe Battlefront will do the same kind of things. It's 40 quid now, but next year there might be another season pass.
Well, they've said it's going to be the content. It's going to be delivered into 2017. So whether it's going to be from that season pass or whether it's going to be from an additional one, I would think it'll probably be an additional one.
I don't know, because the way that they've dealt with the Battlefield series, if they carry on that loyalty like that, then I think one season pass could do it all. But then it's Star Wars and it's EA, so I don't know. It's putting me off throwing. I mean, the season pass, that's another game. That's the price of another game, or 3 or 4 indie games.
Well, that's where Destiny's gone. They've said they're not releasing any smaller content anymore. It'll be all the content for the rest of the year will be free. Like everybody gets it, whether you bought the Taken King or not. What their big update is now, they said every year they'll do a big update which will basically cost the price of a retail game. So they're basically just doing what EA do with FIFA and Madden every year. They're releasing, and it's what World of Warcraft do every year. They just bring an expansion.
And it's what we said is what,
although they somehow still screw people out of fucking £8 a month. I don't know how they managed to keep doing that.
It's what we said they should have done there. It's the way that they kind of hid that. It's the way that the first season pass was, oh yeah, you're going to get these 2 big expansions that weren't very big expansions, and then you're going to get the Taken King.
Imagine if those 2 expansions were free.
Expansion, yeah.
If they'd never have charged you for those first 2 expansions, everybody would be talking about this game a lot less differently.
Completely agree.
Or even just half the price of it. I mean,
nothing. If there'd have just been 2 free updates, and they'd have said, right, every year you'll get 2 free updates, and then there'll be a major expansion that will cost you the same as a full game every year. From the off, no one would be complaining about it.
They wouldn't be able to cover
Destiny would be
the
the best game ever.
They would have to really ram in tons and tons of microtransactions to try and pull costs back. So you're going to end up with weapons being put behind paywalls and resource and stuff.
Paying for dances.
Well, that's it. All they've done is it's cosmetic stuff that's behind paywalls now, and they reckon they're making enough money that they don't have to charge people for major updates anymore, apart from the one every year, the one expansion every year. So the fact they basically said as well, Destiny 2's out the window. That ain't going to happen. It's going to just be Destiny, and it will keep evolving. And evolving.
It was always supposed to be like a 5-year plan, wasn't it? Was what they wanted to do.
It was a 10-year game. 10. It'll get to the point where Destiny will be 200 gigs of your hard drive in 5 years, because there'll be so much content on it. But people like it. People are still playing it, and it's still making money through bloody the microtransactions. It's still a profitable game. The fact that this year it had in the UK in the top 25, it had 2 versions of it in the top 25 games. The Taken King and Plain Destiny were both in the top 25 sold games this year.
Crazy, isn't it? But no, it's done.
So do we have any major surprises from this year? Has anyone got any games that come out of left field and they didn't expect to be as good as they were? I've definitely got 2 that I can think of.
There's an easy one that I think everyone feels the same way. Rocket League.
100%.
I mean, Rocket League, an indie title, a small one that was even given out as a PS Plus game, and it just exploded.
For an old PlayStation 3 game that was not played by many people I know of.
It wasn't played by many. I mean, was it Superstar Rocket Battle-Powered Rocket...
Acrobatic Supersonic Rocket Powered Battle Car.
Which again was given out.
It was, but very, very late. That was probably a year and a half after the game came out. So it had very much a cult following, and to release this and it be kind of the envy of a lot of other platforms, and it to have cross-platform play. Granted, it was broken to start off with, but the ability that you could play against people playing on PC, that's pretty mind-blowing. It was fantastic. It is fantastic, and that's been a game where they've delivered a good level of DLC and not charged you the F for it.
No, it's been respectable prices. The amount of gameplay there, it's football with cars, but when they've added hockey style and mutations and weird shaped grounds, they do enough to keep it alive and fun for people. And the fact is, you could put 1,000 hours into it, and be good, or you could come into it with in 10 minutes and still get a lucky goal, or still do something funny in it. But the skill level isn't that important compared to a bit of luck here and there. So it's an amazing game that came from a small indie player.
The match me and Gareth had, where we came back from being absolutely trounced.
We were like 5-1 down.
Fantastic. I still need to get that video uploaded. So good. That was so satisfying.
My 2-year-old has scored goals in that. I mean, my 2-year-old can score goals in it. Yet I've seen people scream and shout because they can get to the ball. It's that good, infuriating, and funny a game. It's not come off my hard drive since I've downloaded it.
It's definitely one of my.
I still play it at least once a week.
Yeah, I hear people play it far more than that. I mean, people are addicted to it. It's that good a game, and it came out of nowhere. Even if you're paying for it now, it doesn't cost the earth. The season pass, DLC bits and pieces don't cost the earth, and it's a great game to get on with your mates or to play on your own.
It's taken over FIFA as my go-to game for a quick bit of multiplayer action.
Yeah, they really came out and did well, and I think I can look at your two sets of games that I think your class as your game of the years. I can't really think of one for myself, but then Rocket League sort of stands there so strong that I kind of have to give it to that over the likes of Battlefront, over the likes of Just Cause 3. Even though I love Just Cause, I paid £40 for it, and yet Rocket League wasn't nowhere near that, and I've put the same amount of hours and the same level of enjoyment out of it. So if I was to have to say my game of the year would probably.
And I think it'll be a lot of people's Xbox One game of the year this year, or 2016. I really do.
Low blow.
I really do, because it generated such a buzz when it came out on PS4, and I'm so glad it's gone to Xbox One. I think it deserves to. I think it's one of those games that deserves to be played. Doesn't deserve to just be a little cult hit. It deserves to be an e-sport. It deserves to have people playing it and enjoying it and screaming at the TV and screaming at their mates. Such a good game.
Well, just think if what they did after Supersonic was Rocket League, what the hell are they going to do after Rocket League? I mean, what with the
needs airplanes.
Interest it's. Well, I can think of a couple of ideas I wouldn't mind, but with the what this showcase of a game they've got now and the interest it's drummed up on all platforms, they've got a free rein to pretty much do any wacky bollocks they want. I mean, cars and football put together should be shit. It sounds like a complete cock up. I mean, when Top Gear did it with real cars, it was crap. But this has been so fun that you kind of let them go, I want to put this and this together. Go for it, mate. Fuck it. See what it... You obviously know what you're doing, so... I can't even imagine what they might come up with next, but...
There's bound to be a speedboat version at some point with beach balls. That's bound to be something that comes out with inside a massive lake, and you've got goals at each end and big beach balls and rocket-powered boats.
I think they should buy the license and they should do a Star Wars version. X-Wings, TIE Fighters, and the Ball.
That's a fantastic idea.
Fucking amazing.
That's a fantastic...
And I want the rights to that.
Knocks Battlefront into a cocked hat, I'd say.
Yeah, there you go. For me, if they did that, I'd throw money at them again just for that level, just that skin. Because it'd be fucking
that would
funny.
Be quite good. I like the idea of that. For me, surprise-wise, it was a second-party Sony game that was majorly delayed. I didn't play it until the start of this year because I didn't get it until Christmas. But Until Dawn was a real surprise for me.
Yeah, everyone keeps talking about it. I haven't picked it up yet, and I keep on. I should. Everyone's talking about it.
I won't give any spoilers. I loved Heavy Rain. I was deeply disappointed by Beyond Two Souls, and I was dubious about this until we saw footage at one of the press conferences, and basically the guy who was playing it on stage, people were cheering at him to make decisions, and I thought, that's a fantastic idea.
Wasn't that PSX?
It could have been the first PSX, and I thought, this actually looks really, really good. I remember seeing it when it was a PS3 Move game and thinking, I don't know how this is going to be, and then it just disappeared. And then suddenly we see that footage and it's like, okay, this might actually be quite good. But it wasn't really released with a big fanfare from Sony, considering it should have been a big game for them, along with The Order, which was advertised all over the place. But it wasn't, and it was very much one of those games that buzz built up about it, and it's so schlocky. It's such a cheesy kind of 80s cabin in the woods horror style movie game, choose your own adventure type thing. Bit point and clicky adventure, bit kind of heavy rain with motion controls of moving objects, but it's very pretty, and the story evolves, and it feels like your personal journey. It didn't scare me, which is a little disappointing, but it was thoroughly like edge of the seat in parts, and
you didn't even jump.
One jump through the whole thing.
Right, a few times.
One jump, which was disappointing. I used the camera and captured them, and I went back and looked through them, and there was one jump. That was fairly early on. I'm not saying I wasn't tense, because certainly the last third of the game is probably the most heart-pounding playing a game I've had in absolutely ages. Not scared, just tense. Really proper, like, am I going to be able to do this okay? The fact of at one point I was so unscared, I was trying to eat a bag of crisps whilst playing, and basically my character, I kept missing the quick time events, so my character just kept tripping over and hitting things and falling down, and I'm like, this is fantastically funny. I'm sure it's not meant to be, but it really did feel like, unlike the Telltale games, or at least unlike the Walking Dead game, that felt like it was all going to the same point. This felt like it was, you could see these little events that potentially, after you'd done them, you're like, oh, bugger, that I'm going to lose people now. The fact if I lost a person really close to the end because I was desperate to take a really good screenshot, but you're required not to move the controller, and because as soon as I pressed the share button,
I hate those bits.
It basically, I lost a character, and I was like, no, I don't believe that. And it's like, oh god, all I wanted was to grab a really good screen. So it's great. The performances early on feel a bit hammy and a bit like, oh god, this isn't very good. But I couldn't work out whether it was actors acting badly to play the part, or whether it was really good acting pretending to be bad actors
deliberately.
And it was like, I can't work this out.
I kind of want to say that.
That uncanny valley was really clever. That it fooled me, and without spoiling the game, either it grew on me or the acting got better, and I can't tell. So yeah, lovely. I for me, real surprise, and I think one of those games that people should experience, because it was definitely something different, and as a PlayStation exclusive, definitely something people should have a crack at.
I'll second that.
It's definitely on my list to pick up, because so many people again have talked about it, and I keep hearing this. That is it bad acting? Is it good acting? Playing bad film style or what? I kind of like that. The
script is really, really good. And I haven't seen probably maybe a 50th of all the possible scenarios. Just with Catherine starting her playthrough, I've already seen bits I never saw, because she's made very slightly different choices, and it's like, wow, I'm wondering where her story's going to go. So it's really nice actually just being an observer of it and seeing how she plays and where that goes. Because we've played Heavy Rain together, we played Beyond Two Souls together, and that was our experience. And I've since gone back and played my own versions of those stories, but that first experience is really, really interesting.
Cool. Anything stand out for you, Gareth? I knew you were going to say that.
The best PS4 exclusive there's been so far.
Yeah,
as most people will testify. No, it's a great game. It's not quite Dark Souls, and it took me 6 months to get into it because I pretty much gave up on it after it first came out. After getting halfway through it, getting used to the combat, it's a lot easier than the Dark Souls games, in my opinion. Once you get used to it, and I think
is that
people.
A good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing for people who haven't played them before. It's bad. It was a bad thing for me because I was so used to the combat in Dark Souls. The whole sort of the two ways I play Dark Souls is either tanking sort of with the shield and the sword, slow and steady, or being like the sort of magic user, sort of taking a step back and attacking with like long range attacks. Whereas Bloodborne is you've just got to get up and in it. Like in their face, just run up. If you get hit, it doesn't matter because every time you hit them back after you've been hit, you gain health back. So it's got sort of this regain system towards it, where if you're getting absolutely destroyed, as long as you can sort of have a quick dodge and attack the enemy a few times, you gain all your health back.
That's quite good.
It's like a sort of vampiric system, which it does give it a chance, and it is quite hard to get. I'm trying to convince Connor.
Yeah, I was just going to say I've seen it for like 25.
And the fact that the DLC is like 16 quid.
25 quid with all the DLC.
So you can get the whole game for 25 quid is an absolute bargain.
Well, that's not bad at all, is it?
I mean, the story's just as brilliant and weird and twisted as the Dark Souls games are.
Well, that's it. As someone who's never
it'd be great
played...
actually you playing it because we can talk about it because I don't have anyone to talk about it because no one.
As someone who's never played the Dark Souls games, because I've been put off by that idea of it being really difficult. Is it something that I have to bear with so long? Because obviously you've said you spent 6 months getting into that game. It kind of terrifies me that I'm going to buy it and be like, oh, it's really not for me, or I'm going to go the other way and just keep persevering and then it'll click and I'll be like, wow, I know exactly what Gareth's on about with this game and what other people have been on about. I love the idea of it.
That's
I
what
like
happened with me.
The weird kind of Victorian London overrun by weird... not Victorian London. Victorian style era overrun by monsters. And the fact that the story is there but you really have to look to find it. I like that idea. I like having to put some work in to find my story. I don't like, as I've mentioned, having to go to something else to find out my bloody story. But I like the setting to it. The visuals to it look fabulous. Considering it looks so dark.
Oh, it's up there.
It's so beautiful.
Well, you've been looking at my screenshots that I put on Twitter. Honestly, I think it's in my. Obviously, I'm going to be slightly biased because I love it. It's the best looking game and one of the best games on the PS4. And it's probably, I'd say it's even the best PS4 exclusive.
Wow.
I can't think of a better game.
Wow.
I can't think of a better exclusive, honestly.
Well, that's just it. I mean, we were talking a little bit offline before we started recording, and you were saying about how there's first-party PlayStation games been a bit lackluster so far, and everyone seems to be waiting on Uncharted 4 to sort of kickstart it off.
I think you're completely right there, and it does feel like Sony have been a bit cynical, and a lot of the other companies have been a bit cynical by spinning out all these remasters, which granted are some really, really good games. I've finally played Devil May Cry this year, not the remastered version, the PS3 version, but if you never played that on Xbox 360 or PS3, and you can get basically an upscaled Game of the Year edition of it, the Uncharted collection, 3 fantastic games that if you were playing 360 for the last generation, you missed out on 3 great games, and you can pick them up at 25 quid at the moment, and they are fantastic games. And they're the type of things that would make you go, okay, yeah, I can see why I've bought this system now. and why I've missed out. And it does feel a bit cynical. God of War 3, obviously Last of Us was the year before, but it's like, okay, when are we going to kick off these big releases, these big first party games? Maybe Sony have realised that actually they don't have to go down the massive first party route. Maybe the risk is too high. We've seen the fact of the first party games that they've released over the generation. Killzone Shadowfall, not a great game.
It wasn't bad.
It looked alright.
I think it was
empty.
It's always
No, it wasn't bad.
I think it was always going to be hampered with the fact it was a launch game.
Yeah.
I mean, launch games always get slated soon after because something better always comes along.
Well, Drive Club was a fucking launch game.
Drive Club that was very, very delayed and turned into a very beautiful butterfly, which is...
It took its time.
A beautiful butterfly that doesn't know how to fly properly.
It was a very, very stunted caterpillar.
It doesn't know whether to flap its wings or glide, so it does a bit of both.
But obviously Knack wasn't very good. Infamous Second Son was the reason I bought a PS4, and it looked nice.
Yeah,
the story was alright. Not a great game. Just a bit too
predictable.
repetitive, bit too vacuous. A lot of the third party stuff has been pretty good. Obviously we've had Fallout 4 came out this year, which I haven't yet played, and I hear mixed things about it. I've got it sat there, I got loaned it, so I think this year I've realised that actually I don't know if I'm in a major place to sit and play a massive open world game. I've played too many this year that have kind of worn me out. Granted, games, because of being on a year of shame, like finally playing Unity and being impressed by the story but disappointed by the repetition. Metal Gear Solid, again, huge, lots of stuff to play, but story wasn't what I wanted. Playing Rogue, which was actually really good, I enjoyed that, but couldn't be asked to hunt for everything. Playing Far Cry 4, looks lovely, story was alright but felt unfulfilled. It's just like, I need something that isn't that massive 100-hour experience. I've avoided Witcher because of that, which Witcher looks fantastic. Loads of people who've played that have said that's how you deliver a third party game. You give so much content free as part of that game, and you just keep adding and adding and adding. And I think people like Ubisoft, EA, can learn a lot from CD Projekt Red by actually saying, yeah, you've paid 60 quid for this game, and we are going to keep rewarding you for paying that money. Thank you for buying our game. No, we're not going to say, buy a season pass, and we're going to nickel and dime you for all this extra crap along the way. Just here you are, we want you to enjoy this experience. But I'm a bit like, actually, I needed Until Dawn as that palate cleanser from all those massive open world games.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, just before we end up, because we're going to keep this one quite short, but you were saying there about a lot of these HD remakes, and it's getting a bit repetitive now for a lot of them. What do you think about, on both PlayStation and Xbox, doing this backwards compatibility then? Because in a way, HD remakes are just older games for the most part. I mean, do you think, is it something you want to see more of, or do you think it's just filling the store up while they're waiting for bigger
money
newer
for
titles
washed
to come?
old rope?
You're not a fan?
I'm not a fan for me.
Who wants to play Saints Row 4 and fucking Dishonored again? No one. What were the point in games like that coming out? And the fact that you can get them in like Argos for a $5.
I enjoyed Dishonored.
Yeah,
that just goes to prove no one's buying them.
Dishonored.
Well,
but what about
I
the
didn't particularly
PS2
like
games? I mean, what about on PS4 the PS2 games and going back further than just the past couple of years?
That is to grab the odd person that likes that game and might do it. They say there's work involved. I don't think there's a lot of work involved. Slapping a trophy list on something and up-resing it to 1080p, I don't think there's a lot of work involved. But for the 500,000 people that will see Grand Theft Auto Vice City and drop 12 quid in it, it's worthwhile doing it, isn't it?
I've been so tempted so many times, but For me, I think the price on those ones is a little higher than I wanted, but I kind of want to see a nice catalogue of.
I kind of feel we've already had all the best PS2 games released as PS3 games, as PS3 remasters. We've had all the Sly Cooper games, we've had all the God of Wars, we've had all of the Metal Gear, 2 and 3,
Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, Ratchet and Clank.
What was the Okami?
Silent Hill collection.
We've had so many of those games. We're now still getting kind of ones for like the Resident Evil ones now being remastered. Some of them remastered off GameCube versions that were remasters of original PlayStation games. Very odd. It's cheaper to do that than it is to reboot your series, like what happened with Tomb Raider. So I don't know.
Do you think Sony should be sort of pushing a bit harder, and Microsoft as well, that come on, we want to see new stuff? Then if you're too busy hacking out these HD remakes, and then to add to that a few of these old PS2 and Xbox original titles popping up here, there, come on, is there enough of a fan base that like that while we're waiting even longer for other games? Or do you think they need to really give a massive kick up the arse to some of these developers and say, come on, we need big titles to start pouring out now because we're into the third year?
I don't think they can, though. I think the amount of money that they plough into these games, you can't just tell, get it out, it's got to be out. You just can't.
And I prefer they do.
The fact they've had to delay Uncharted 4 twice just goes to show you can't just kick it out the door. It'll be ready when it's ready.
They didn't. This is my issue with third parties, and this is probably why Sony's first parties are holding off revealing anything big, because they're looking at what's happening with these third party games, Ubisofts, the EAs, that are releasing games that aren't finished, that are either needing season passes to be able to buy the rest of the content, or are broken. And I think people aren't in any rush to buy a broken game.
No, we've seen plenty of them. I mean, we've joked about games being put off and delays here, there and everywhere, but I mean, it's becoming pretty much endemic now that you see a big AAA title and a release date early on, you go, it's never coming out that date. Even up to a couple of months before. To
be fair, I think we're a lot more forgiving of indies. Don't look at something like Volume, which was or New and Tasty. Both of those were supposed to be multi-platform, coming out at the same time as the PS4 versions. Neither of them have. New and Tasty's only just come out for the Vita now, and Volume's only just come out for the Vita.
Animal though to that.
So it.
I mean, by sheer definition, I think being a small indie developer, it's not a get out of jail free card by any stretch, because if a game comes out broken or overly delayed by years, then you get the same scrutiny. But I think with a lot of indie developers, you've got
I think they've got a lot more pride in their work as well. I think they don't want their content coming out broken. They would rather turn around and go, look, we've focused all our energy on the PS4 version. That's out now. We will release the other versions, but we need time to make sure they work. We're not a team of 4,000 people. We're a team of 20.
One bad game-breaking bug, and to be fair, that developer could go bust. I mean, a bad game gets the wrong kind of press and the wrong coverage. It's fucked, and it can destroy careers. So, yeah. Whereas Activision and Ubisoft can throw a broken game out and it go completely panned, it'll be forgotten about in a year or two, or it won't dent the shareholders that much. Someone like, say, Just Add Water or Mike Bith or someone like that puts out a broken bad game, it could kill them off completely. So that's why you said they don't. They hold off. They make sure everything is smooth as fuck.
It was like Nom Nom Galaxy was in Steam early access for ages, and the full release came to PS4 first. It wasn't until 6 months later that it actually released out of early access on Steam. So that's bizarre, and I think we're going to see more of that. Microsoft have already announced that they're going to do an early access style program. We're going to see more episodic stuff, as we'd kind of talked off air, where games are going to come out as in chunks. just have to look at Hitman, look at Final Fantasy. They obviously Telltale are going to continue to be releasing games. Someone needs to sort out the structure with it, and I think the whole season pass idea is the whole. It's caused that. It's that people will buy a mystery box. They will buy something not knowing what's actually going to be in it, and I won. The Telltale games, I've bought them when all of them are out, because I don't want to have when I can finish my game dictated to me by a games company.
No, I did the same thing with Walking Dead. I wouldn't touch that until all of it's out. I'm the same. I want to play a game. If I have the time to play the game from start to finish, I want to do that. I don't want to have to stop because they're still making episode 2, 3 or whatever.
I'm getting older, my memory's not great. So if I go like a week past when I last played, I'd have to replay a chapter to understand where I was up to. So it's no good for me. I need to be able to flow through something and kind of go, yep, that's me done with it.
No,
Little shout out quickly to Tales of the Borderlands. That is the best Telltale game, and I don't even like Borderlands normally, but that was the best one. Story was beats Walking Dead all day.
It's
long.
definitely one I've heard a lot of good things about.
Yeah.
And Game of Thrones was shit. Don't buy that one.
I haven't even. I've got it. I just haven't bothered getting into it.
So crap. It's nothing like the TV show.
Great. No, it doesn't. From what I've heard, it doesn't even have any of the characters. It's like a couple might like pop in or get talked about, but it's nothing. It goes on while Game of Thrones is going on. So I think
it's like if you just ate all of the plot points from the TV show, and then got rid of all the major characters and just threw the rest up on a plate and served it in 6 parts over 6 months. That's basically what it is.
I'll get round to it once I've gone round through every other game on my hard drive at the moment, which is. I mean, it sounds daft, but a game, it's never going to be my game of the year or be that high up on many people's lists, but I've actually really been getting into Blood Bowl. And it's because, again, I picked it up for a steal, and the gameplay, it's a bit of a learning curve to get into, but playing the campaign really helps with that, and I keep adding different bits in as you go along. But it's quite a faithful representation of the board game. And I've literally last weekend I sat playing with a mate who still plays the board games to this day, and he was impressed with it. Graphically, not amazing. It's easily beaten by a lot of games on the console.
But it's a budget game, isn't it? It's not a full price game. It's normally 20 quid, isn't it? Yeah.
No, it was a 40 quid game. It was 40. It's like 45 quid, but I mean, it was on sale only a couple of weeks ago for 20. I picked it up in CEX for 10. So I've got the full disc of it, 10 quid. There's easily I've played 10 quid's worth of the game. Admittedly, I'm stuck at the fucking moment because this bloody dark elf witch is a pain in the ass to kill or get off. I'm stuck a bit where what's bugging me at the moment is when you're playing the campaign, you've got to beat the opposing team, which is fine. I mean, for people that don't know, Blood Bowl is Warhammer's version of American football.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
It's good fun. I mean, the character jokes are all in there. It's got a lot of in-game and in the sport.
Sort of like each race has their own team, don't they?
Yeah, sort of thing, they're all crazy, and but a roll of the dice can mean your guys killed someone else or fallen flat on his ass and everything goes.
So it's more like a sort of strategy board game than it is, say, a Madden.
Turn-based
it's not strategy. It's not like a Madden, is it? It's not.
It's not live action. No, it's turn-based. There's a lot of thought in where you place your characters, what move you make, and you get up to a point where if one of your decisions goes wrong, the game turns over. So you could have 7 or 8 players on the pitch, and so that gives you can make each one move or tackle or pass or anything. But if you go to tackle someone and that doesn't go your way, that's your turn over with. So you've got to decide which is the best risk or reward to do first.
So each sort of turn you get right, you get another turn, then another turn, and then when you fuck one up, that's your whole game over.
You've used all,
got you.
But where the matches are, you've got to win this match, you've got to beat this team. Every now and again, it seems to be throwing in these obligatory challenges that are set, and they're fucking annoying. I mean, really annoying. The one I'm at the moment is I've got to beat the Dark Elf team, but at the same time, I've got to make sure that the 2 Dark Elf witches are taken off the pitch in any way. So I can either kill them, I can push them off the pitch, or I can have them injured and fouled so they can't play anymore. Great, okay, but they're actually they're fucking hard to get hold of because they can run half the pitch on their own. So you can set up a couple of people to tackle them ready, and they'll run right past you. I mean, I've played that same level maybe 6 times, so 7, 8 times now. I've killed one a couple of times, but trying to get in there because each half is 8 turns. And as I said, if you cock up one of your rolls, that's your turn over with. So you've got to not only be trying to set up to score, you've also got to be defending in case they get hold of the ball, and trying to set up and take out these 2 witches. And it's fucking pain in the arse. You've got, I mean, and it does come down. A lot of it feels like it's a bit of luck of the roll of the dice. There are modifiers involved and things like that, but it takes too long to explain that in detail. It's frustrating, but it's a good game. And you can sit there, you can listen to the jokes and stuff that go on. You could put a podcast and listen to us while you're playing it, type of thing. It's a good game, and for me, it rates even higher because of how much I paid for it. I'm getting a lot of fun out of a game that I paid 10 quid for. Yeah, if you paid 45, 50 quid of it retail on the store, then yeah, I don't think there's that kind of money's worth there by any stretch. But 20 quid, yeah, I'd pay 20 quid for this without a shadow of a doubt. So it's never going to rate as a game of the year or top 10 or anything like that, but it's pretty damn good for what it is. But yeah, but that's what I'm going to go back to in a minute and just pull my hair out trying to finish. That and 100 and some odd races and fucking drive clubs.
Have we got any honourable mentions then for this year? Games we haven't covered?
I've got to shout out Splatoon and Mario Maker on the Wii U. I know it's not everyone's favourite console, but probably the best third-person online shooter I've played in years.
You have to mention them, yeah.
And Mario Maker is just a piece of genius. As much as it is a tool more than a game, I enjoy making levels more than I do playing other people's ones. Yeah, sitting there with all the gear, it's just I'd never thought in my lifetime Nintendo would ever release something like that for a company that's so protective of its IP. Like you'd never think they'd ever let anybody have those sort of creative tools.
I've never been closer to buying a console purely for one game than I have been for Mario Maker and Splatoon. I'm a die-hard PlayStation fan, and paying for that kind of money for a underutilized console that is the Wii U kind of irks me a bit. But Mario Maker looks so much fucking fun. I could lose days mucking about on that thing easily.
I have.
Splatoon just looks like a damn good fun game, and there's too many games nowadays that are too dark or too immersive, and they want you to build a massive atmosphere. Splatoon, it looks like it's just sit down, have a laugh, and play a fun game. I think that's been missing on a lot of things.
It's a shame because that game would have been so good on PS4. Like it would have been just. If you'd have released it at the 30 quid price point it was on the Wii U and just threw it out there, people love it. It's just such a great game.
But as much as it'd have been a great game on PSN or Xbox, but on Nintendo, it's a system seller because it's that good. It drives the sales for a console that is woefully underpowered today.
It did in Japan. It sold 1 million copies Splatoon in Japan, which, considering that there's only 1.5 million Wii U sold in the country, is pretty good going. Yeah. I think.
If you can do 75% some odd sale rate for consoles out there, you're doing fucking good. I mean, there's not many games that we could say that come even close to that on the two big consoles. So I've never been closer to picking up a system to play one game.
The problem with the Wii U is it's almost over. Everyone knows the NX is probably going to get released next year, and there's a few last few games coming out on the Wii U this year, like the new Zelda and the Pokemon Tekken games and stuff like that. But the thing is, if you do get a Wii U now, there is a solid 20 to 25 first-party games out there that it's worth having the system for.
Plus the fact that you've got all the older games that you can use via is it Virtual Console or?
Well, you can play all the Wii games on there. Virtual Console, you have to buy all the games, which in my Nintendo's pricing is fucking stupid. You'll never ever pay 18 quid for a digital copy of a Wii game that you can get for £1 in CEX.
Yeah. Although I wouldn't quite go to CEX to buy some games, I must admit. I looked in there today and I picked up Just Cause 3 for 38 quid.
Yeah, I went there today as well, and it's still 45 quid in CEX. Second hand.
£44, yeah.
But that's why they make their money, don't they?
And Battlefront, 44 quid pre-owned. I picked that up for... It's stupid. Their pricing for pre-owned PS4 and Xbox One games is insane. Absolute nuts.
My favourite one's Minecraft on PS4 is 25 quid pre-owned in there. You can get it for 11 quid brand new on Amazon.
Oh shit! See it.
It's purely geared at people that will trade in their Christmas presents. Like if you notice in CX, all their prices go up just after Christmas for like 2 months because they know there's loads of like 12 to 17-year-olds who will trade all their Christmas presents in to get one game.
The one that made me laugh, I walked in, they usually have a board out the front with what we're looking for, the top 10 things we want and how much we'll pay for them. They want a PS4 500 gig Destiny bundle, and they'll pay you 160 quid for it. For the limit that the best looking PS4 out there, and
it retails for double that.
Yeah,
and they'll probably sell it for near enough brand new retail.
Yeah, because it's the one that people want. Like, I wouldn't give you that to you for 160 quid. I wouldn't give that to you for nearly double that. So
the fact that a Xbox 360 Slim 250 gig is 105 quid in there, and you can get it for less than a brand new online, just makes me laugh.
I wet myself. I've been looking at picking up a GameCube for a while. I just haven't bothered pulling the trigger because it's just one to add to the collection. But I could pick one up tomorrow for 20 quid with games, with controllers, all the wires, all that. CEX, a GameCube controller only
20 quid,
25 quid. I can pick up 2 of the console for that.
I think that's because of the whole Smash Brothers thing. Because the only way you can play 8-player Smash Brothers is with GameCube controllers and the adapters.
But go on eBay, you'll find them for a fucking £5. CEX need to understand that in this day and age, that pricing is insane.
But they do give you the best money for your stuff, though. Unless you go to Game and show them the CEX prices and they match them.
To be fair, I've been lucky enough and found Granger Games to give me the best prices for things.
We don't have them. We don't have them in London.
No, that's it.
I don't think they go past Birmingham Granger Games, do they?
We're drifting readily off into a usual episode here rather than the games of 2015.
Colin, should we do each one of us? What's your 3 favourite games of the year?
Oh,
that'd be a good closeout, I think.
Oh bloody hell! Right,
I've got mine.
Go for it.
Shall I go first? Mario Maker, Rocket League, Bloodborne.
Ooh, I think mine will probably be probably Flame Over on Vita because I really, really enjoyed that. The Family Guy, the Fox table pack for Zen Pinball because that's just fantastic. And Nom Nom Galaxy, definitely, because that just was amazingly surprising.
I love the fact you've only spoken about one of those in the whole podcast.
Oh god, I'm going to say Rocket League is going to be the winner. Just Cause 3, and you bastard, I'm trying to think of a third.
You know, it
really does.
Yeah, I fucking do. Because you know I'm playing it at the moment. Because I'm really doing match 3.
Every time I log into any of my PSN devices, you are playing Gems of War all year.
Yeah, that's. I can't have a match 3 game.
You know, that's how we get
no matter how many
to
hours
play
I
a
put
Metal
in.
Gear game. Is they release a gem-based Metal Gear game, and he will then go off and play all the Metal Gears.
No, the worst bit is it's only this one that's really got me hooked, and because of the fucking card battle system. I don't know why it's got me addicted, but it's one I can just sit there and play while doing 10 other things.
But didn't you have the problem last year? You were playing the Battle Islands one. Every time I went on it last year, you were playing that on your PS4.
I played that for a bit. That died off quite quick, to be fair, because that just wasn't. It was all right, but that was definitely a mobile game that they'd just thrown up for the sake of it. I'm just trying to think of a third. I'm going to get some shit for this.
Don't you dare say Battlefront.
No, not Battlefront, but something I've cursed far more than Battlefront.
Drive Club.
Yeah, the bikes. God, am I really going to say Drive Club as my best game? Because I've slagged it off so bad in the past.
It's the whole package now is a good game.
It's the game that's probably evolved the most, but it was forced to evolve the most. I'm gonna have to say Destiny, Drive Club as it is now, and what they added in 2015.
And the fact, if you picked it all up at the right time for 18 quid, you could have got Drive Club and the bikes and the car season pass for 18 quid. If you'd have picked it all up in the sales,
it'll come round again. It'll be an Easter sale.
30.
I imagine this year they'll start doing the PS Plus games, the big releases. I can imagine they've got to start now.
I'm not sure they're going to. I don't think they need to.
No, I think there's another year first.
They teased it last year with the Injustice and the infamous First Light.
Well, I'm so surprised that Black Flag hasn't been free, but I still think that's tied into an Xbox deal. That's why we've not seen Black Flag, and that would be a fantastic PlayStation Plus game. Yeah, I already own it, but that's one of those games that in a year with no Assassin's Creed, yeah, it should be part of PS Plus.
I still don't fully believe that. I still think something with the film coming. I still think there's more Assassin's Creed stuff coming.
Chronicles, that's your only thing. Oh, that was one of your. Oh God, I hated it. Wasn't it, Gareth?
Oh yeah, Assassin's Creed Chronicles China. Yeah, that was a part of my Let Me Kiss It package from Ubisoft.
What, along with Far Cry 4 that you got?
Yeah. No, I didn't have the crew. I already owned
that wasn't Let Me Kiss It Better. Let's rub more salt in your open wound.
Yeah, I was about to say a spoonful of salt helps the medicine go down, doesn't it?
So what we can pretty much judge then is where we started this podcast off as looking at some of the best games of 2015.
We've just basically
spent more time slagging off the bad ones. Yeah, and this is the trouble. I think, just to wrap up quickly, we've got quite a lot of disappointing games this year, a lot of missed opportunities, and what we were hoping to be big, good games delayed until.
Well, I've still missed out on Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, and I still need to pick that up because I quite fancied that.
That is a good game. I enjoyed that.
So, yeah, I'm hoping, and I'm really fucking fingers crossed for some really good games this year. But we'll talk about those probably in the next episode. Yeah, so that was our slightly pessimistic look at the games of 2015. Some of them taste like off milk.
Some are a glass half empty of off milk.
Are
you just going to say everything I've said?
For the
rest for the end?
I'm just going to use that as a podcast title because there's something wrong there. A glass half full of salty milk.
I don't know. I quite Ubisoft's Kiss It Better package as a title.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. You can find us on all the usual social media places by searching for JoypadAndMe. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all the usuals. If you want to find one of us in particular on Twitter and chat to us, you can find me at the Jedi Junkie, all one word.
At VDJOMB.
And me, Gaz, at DaftChunk1.
And we will catch you next episode. So until then, it's a goodbye from me.
And an adios from me.
I'm going to go play Gems of War.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.